Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. That's Daya. She's barking. Anyway, we're gonna do a collective reading using the Yin Yang Oracle. Just do a little energy check. My doggo will shit the bucket. Daya! Marley's looking at me. No, you cannot come over here. He's waiting for me to be done on my desk. Okay. Let's do it. Happy Boxing Day. Boxing Day is a great song by Blink-182. I'm empty like the day after Christmas. Alright. Healing. Inner child. Yay! Kicking it off. Alright, let's see what about our inner child needs to be healed. Also, I do have a couple other decks that might want to be used. We'll see. Let's get a few from this deck quick. Ooh, confusion, illusions, fate, divine intervention, and detours with closed off, guarded, and resistance. That came out the other day when we used this deck. Which one was it? I don't remember. Balance within growth. Yeah, it was balance within growth. That the closed off, guarded, and that was a lot about finding balance within yourself. So if that feels like something to check out, it is. The thumbnail is like a lake, mountains, and a couple rainbows. So I just put 2 days ago. Integration, union, party, external. Be careful with the partying. It's a rite of passage wherever you are in life, but eventually it is something that you are intended to outgrow for the most part. So check yourself if you feel like you're at a point of needing to do so, especially if it is partying to just mute the way you're feeling about something, especially inner child healing. I think all children have trauma of some sort, regardless of if you're wealthy or poor or where you live. I think that every child has experienced some sort of unfair treatment that impacts who they become as adults. So some others, some worse than others, different degrees of trauma, of course. But all that to say is I truly believe we all have inner child healing that needs to be done. Rejection, loss, and fragmented. I think for me, the inner child healing is like a reclamation of self, right? So with this rejected, lost, and fragmented, instead of feeling like that despair, allowing yourself to pick up your pieces, do the things that you liked to do when you were little, do the things that you were really passionate about, wear the clothes that your inner child would want you to wear. Just really think about, I think a good place to start with inner child healing. And if this isn't, if this isn't your starting point, or if you feel like you need more, I do have a playlist called Chasing Nostalgia, which is all inner child healing stuff. I think integrating the shadow or shadow work playlist is also really important for accepting your inner child. We have Summer and Growth that just popped out of the deck, and that one is facing the wrong way, which is weird. Alchemy and Ancestor Guides. So the alchemy is just a word for medicine, essentially, but the connotation of medicine is very much doctors and hospitals, whereas alchemy is more this acknowledgement of energy fluctuation, right? So when we have ourselves really in a state of despair, right, regardless of what caused that despair, we are in need of like a shift in that energy in order to keep ourselves going, okay? you can place words on these if you feel so called, or diagnoses. Maybe you've received, I'm getting depression as one of them, right? Suicidal ideation. The harder things that people deal with. If that's another thing that you need some support with, go to the Collective Convo playlist. And we kind of have open conversations about some of the harder topics about life, okay, without the stigma, because the comments are turned off for the most part. Anyway, so when we are ADD attack, fuck, when we're reclaiming ourselves, when we're healing doesn't need to be like a gnarly, disciplinary practice. It can be more of a, like, get that childlike wonder back, right? And instead of, confusion and illusions, allowing yourself to, like, see yourself through these rose-colored glasses. Think about your experience up until this point as curiosity, right? Like, if you had a friend, like, think of yourself as your friend, and they were going through a hard time, would you judge them? Would you say to your friend, I've had this mind before. I remember what it was like to have no self-esteem. Would you say those things that you say to yourself to someone outside of you? It depends on the day, right? We have our moments where someone pisses us off or triggers us, or, and we, lash out. But for the most part, we don't go around displaying that side of us, right? So, like, would you say that to someone, right? Like, shut the fuck up, Andy, you're being such a fucking little bitch, right? Sometimes we can think those things about ourselves, right? Or, like, you don't deserve that, or a lot of that comes from the trauma, right? Someone else said that to us at some other point and we embodied it, right? So this process of healing is allowing yourself to be less judgmental, less harsh, kind of hold yourself. Become that adult that you needed in those times, right? I really, really, really center that thought for my life at this point in time. Be the mother I needed, be the safe adult I needed, be the cool pet animal I needed, right? I didn't really need that, but be that person that I needed. Be that person that you needed, right? That's part of the healing process. Integration and union. I don't see this for this reading as someone outside of us. So instead of seeing the two people here, what we're going to focus on is the light and the dark. So integrating our shadow aspect and becoming whole within ourselves. And I've done plenty of other collective readings. If you're looking for more things, there's one somewhere called You Are a Totality, and I know it's on TikTok too. I uploaded it on TikTok too. I haven't really been doing that because uploading on TikTok was kind of making my phone go weird, and plus I was going back like an entire year, and I'm like, I like my readings to be a little bit more current, so I haven't really been doing the TikTok uploads lately. But all that to say is there is plenty of collective readings for a lot of the things that you may be going with. And I'm just one person on YouTube. There's plenty of other people if I'm not your jam. I know I'm not everyone's jam. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm more like a punch in the face. And that's fine. So we do have this divine intervention. We have detours and fate. And we have ancestor guides and alchemy. I don't know what you would believe in, but it seems like there's some sort of energetic power that would like to open you up to more magic, right? I think whenever inner child healing comes out, I often think about magic and how we believed in a lot of stuff. And I'm not talking about like societal shit like Santa Claus, right? I have a lot of beef with Santa. If you have been here this week, you know that. But the concept of Santa. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the magic in what is real, right? Like, so Niall spends a lot of time outside playing, and he learns a lot about playing, like, about nature, what is real. There's magic in everything, right? And I think that childlike wonder that we had up until that point of first trauma, right? And again, for some of us, it was younger than others. But at some point in time, hopefully, we've been able to experience some sort of childlike wonder and magic, right? I know there are plenty of people who have been hurt very early on, and maybe have not been given that. And if that's you, you didn't deserve that. And I hope that you can love that part of you, that little person within you, back to life, right? Instead of carrying that dead weight around. And it's like a virus. I'm getting like a very gray image of like carrying all of this baggage around, like, and we hear these sayings, right? Skeletons in the closet, oh, they've got a lot of baggage, but I don't think we really like to go deep with that. And those sayings are talking about trauma. They're talking about things that we've been, forced to hold secret, things that people have never had the space to process with us or even acknowledge that it happened to us, right? So whatever that is for you, allow yourself to, I don't know, reach out to your ancestors if that feels safe. If it doesn't feel safe, then don't do it. There's plenty of other ways to utilize that magic or connect with it. Like me, I'm a cycle breaker in my family. I don't talk to all of my relatives. I only really trust a couple. And even then, when I do get guidance from them, I still run it through my own internal navigation system of ethics. Right? Like, is this something that I really align with? Do I need to be doing this? Does this feel right for me? And those are questions that you can ask yourself. And when we start to, again, approach ourselves with that curiosity, and we start to allow ourselves to speak up for ourselves at this point in time by asking those questions, right? It's an introspection. I put a lot of stuff over here for introspection stuff as well. When we do that, that's when we start the process of really healing our inner child, right? Instead of allowing ourselves to just mute with substances, with external validation, with shit that doesn't matter. It matters to you at a certain point, but if you think about life as this process of if you think about life as a process of growing, and I often say we are like the trees, we grow always, 2 words, and always, 1 word, right? And I think our society doesn't really allow us to think of ourselves as growing beings. They think of us as more of a gentleness. Yeah, be gentle with yourself. This is the Wild Child deck. They want people, our society really pushes out this narrative of aesthetics first, success being only something that you can see and touch, right? We don't ever talk about emotional fulfillment in our society. It's always about, like, what can you buy? What do you look like? What designer brands do you have? The tree remembers. So again, with these little kiddos, right? You are the tree, right? And also there are trees. We wouldn't have our air, our oxygen without the trees. I don't think we appreciate them enough, personally. I should put a tree on my arm. Why haven't I given myself that tattoo yet? Great idea. I have a big space up here, so I will put a tree there. The tree of life. What the fuck? I have a tree of life on my ring right here. I've always wanted a tattoo of a tree. Why haven't I done that? I really wanted like a big back piece. But I obviously can't tattoo my back. I have a tattoo gun if you're new here. I did all my tattoos. They're awful. But YOLO. Anyway. Be gentle with yourself, again, by meeting yourself with curiosity versus judgment. We have decay at the bottom. I'm not going to pull it out, but what in you, that's that shadow image I was getting of that gray. Like, what within you is dead? What has decayed? What are you still holding on to? And how is that impacting your health? How is it impacting your well-being? I'm currently uploading videos for a mental health and wellness class that I put together over here. And we're breaking down wellness into all of the subsets. So emotional health, mental health, physical health, environment, how obligations and commitments like impact us, right? That all feeds into your mental health. So take really good care of yourself. I will say We have Bloom, Root. I've never gotten the Root card. Reverie, Ephemeral. I'm gonna have to look that one up. In Shadow. So rooting, again, the tree. Oh, my back is killing me. The tree analogy. When you were. Oh, we have the tree here with divine intervention. What the fuck was that? Jesus fucking Christ. Commercials. Okay. When our roots, when we were planted, right? What's that saying? They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. So think about, again, the tree growing always. I mean, look at, it's the same, right? It's like an hourglass. But we can think of it, I'm getting Stranger Things right now, because of the image. It looks kind of like a wormhole as well. So that might resonate with you. But, when we were planted, what were the conditions of the soil, right? So it's an analogy, obviously. Was your home life happy? For most of us, they're probably not all the time, right? Did you feel safe? Were there external threats to you all the time? Did you have the things that you needed? Were you constantly met with conflict or limitations, right? What was it when you were this little kiddo that you're still healing from, right? The tree remembers. But we don't always remember up front. We carry that stuff with us again, and we get triggered, and instead of going deep enough to understand those triggers, we just lash out at the person who triggered us. When I truly believe people are put in our paths to mirror us so that we can learn and about ourselves through others, right? So again, asking yourself, why did that person trigger me? What about that set me off? What did that make me remember? Why is this feeling so icky for me? Things like that. Again, asking more questions than just flying off the handle. I'm very anxious about what's happening in the alley because this is unusual barking, but I'm not going to go out and look. She's doing the job that she's supposed to do. For some reason, my daily affirmation will not circulate today. I don't know why. Whatever. Alright, I've already uploaded it. I tried a bunch of times, so I'm over it. We have bloom. Allow yourself to give yourself that space to bloom, right? When we take care of ourselves. So all of these are nature analogies, right? Allowing yourself to get rid of whatever it is, trimming the tree, pruning, whatever. Maybe you have to go no contact with people. Maybe you need to move locations. Start the process of asking yourself, what do I need to feel better? What do I need to allow myself to step into this person that I know I'm meant to be? Who has been hindering this? What has been hindering this? Again, there are, more than likely some certain behaviors, patterns, people, habits that we need to release to allow ourselves to fully bloom. I wrote a poem called Blossom. It's published on a website. I think it's on the mental health. It's published in a zine book too, my friend put together, but Mental Health Institute? No, Radical Mind Freedom? It doesn't matter, but it's a good poem, and it talks about, I called it Blossom because I was talking about the limitations that I was like releasing myself from. It was a very, Mind Freedom International is pretty sure is where it's at. No, maybe not. Hang on. I should really keep this in my notepad. No, I don't think that's the one. No, it's not it. I don't know. Maybe I should just look myself up. Pagan Blossom poem. I'm gonna be really weirded out if this. Oh my god. Oh no, that's not me. I don't know. I don't know why we're going on this. It was a good poem though. I wrote it when I was like falling in love with my father, or my child's father, and he's black, and so there was a lot of like racial stuff I was going through within my own family line. Oh man, I don't know where. Oh, there's another Ashley Hall in New Zealand who also wrote a poem called Blossom. Fascinating. Oh, wait, I think I had it. I'm using AI mode for this. Nope, maybe not. That is so fascinating. Anyway, sorry for the side quest. I really need to find that. It's on, what website is it? I don't know, I found it. I'll find it and I'll put it in the link if you so want. Okay, ephemeral. Wow, the loudness that's happening, it feels significant. Lasting for a very short time. Interesting. So maybe there was some inconsistencies that you had to deal with when you were little. So again, maybe that's part of it. I don't know why I'm going through so many of the possibilities of the pain. It's interesting as well. There's a lot of examples coming through. Shadow. So your shadow work is just accepting those parts of you, the parts of you that have been harmed and the parts of you that have caused harm. And I think when we start to integrate our shadow, we can, in the future and, present and in the future, when we do have those moments of trigger, we can make a choice. We can choose to engage, or we can choose to, kind of like, I'm getting like slip a note in your like chest pocket, right? Of like, let me save this for later. Like, let me bookmark this moment to dissect when I'm like home alone with a journal, with my music safe, so that I can like figure this out instead of doing it with that person, right? Again, the projection and reflection versus like just integration and like introspection. So your shadow work is not something to fear. Think about Peter Pan. The shadow loves you. It follows you everywhere. It is a part of you that is kind of begging you to be seen, right? Like begging you to acknowledge it, right? Especially, and it's especially hard when we are, maybe that's something that as a child you really longed for and people never gave you. Reverie. I feel like I remember this. I think it's like slow down, rest, but I could be wrong. Reverie. A state of being pleasantly lost in one's thoughts, a daydream. So maybe there's some disassociation that you struggle with, and that's, another part of the external partying. Again, a lot of this is, I think there are at least three or four aspects of shadow work, and one of them is inner child healing work. So I'm going to share a little bit about my process in case this is the first time you're seeing me. I had to go no contact with my mom in April of 2024. And until very recently, she was out of my life, and I only had to contact her because I needed money to take care of my cat. And so I tried to reconnect, but it doesn't really feel good. Lines of communication are open at this time, but I'm not really down for that. So anyway, some people stay where they are when you grow, right? I have a reading called A Tree and a Blade of Grass, and it's a good analogy for that. Some people just stay put and you want to grow. Again, think of yourself as this evolving living being because that's what you are. Some people are content with not doing that. it's very important for your own well-being that if you are surrounded by people like that, to get the fuck away from them as quickly as you recognize it, right? As quickly as possible. Again, there are circumstances in which we have to keep some people in our lives, but in the very least acknowledge the toxicity, because if you want to grow and you have things limiting your growth, you're not going to be able to grow, right? I am so sorry for the distractions. I think I'm very scattered in this reading. You're not alone. All of us have been through things that, have shaped us into who we are, good and bad. I think we've all been through heartbreak, we've all been through grief, we've all been through most of the shadow aspects in different situations, right? We've all had different experiences, but we've all, we're all still here. So we get to choose. One of the other things I say often is we get to choose when those bad things happen to us, if we're going to turn around and, make everyone else have to go through that too, or we get to choose to, like, balls up and be like, I don't want anyone to have to go through that, and then do everything we possibly can. And so if you think about that in an inner child healing model, again, becoming that adult that you needed, at all the points of your growing up, all the points until yesterday, right? Those are all past versions of you. You are ever evolving, continuing to grow. And so if you think about it from that context, think about, how can I really take care of who I am, and how can I make sure that I learn from this so I'm not making other people have to go through this, right? I think that's a lot of the parts of, like, what life is about. Keep moving forward, embrace beautiful chaos like this reading and my whole personality. Just breathe, stay simple, there is beauty in simplicity, and live simply and give generously. I have one of my favorite sayings that helped me a lot. I used to keep it in my wallet. Live simply so others can simply live. And I think, again, that go back to that childlike wonder, when you were, that's crazy. The same one just came out. So, okay. There's no other affirmation for us. I hope this helped. Again, I apologize for the scatteredness. There was a lot of distractions in this. And maybe that's how you feel too. Maybe just that, is a part of your healing process. Like, you've tried, but you can't focus, or it's too difficult, or, allow yourself the space. Oh, I don't think I ever finished how I've been doing it. So I've been watching the movies that I watched growing up. I've been listening to the music. I've been eating the snacks. I've been super into mac and cheese and dirt dessert, like chocolate pudding cups, snack packs, and like Oreos and gummy worms. And I don't know, there's something about the taste buds. They trigger, like, nostalgia. Scents as well. Maybe there was a certain perfume you used to wear, or a certain soap you used when you were little. And I think when we immerse ourselves, not even an immersion, but like when we allow ourselves to revisit that stuff and use those things as tools, because, all of those things can transport you back. And so instead of being met with this constant, I'm getting like emotional fatigue, again, that gray thing that you're carrying around because you're either too ashamed or too embarrassed, or there's some reason you don't want to address it, and whatever that is, it's different for all of us. But instead of avoiding that, really, like, cradling it, right? Like, doing all of those things to trigger happiness within us, right? Despite what we've been through. So make a YouTube playlist with all of the music, and then, when you get more ideas or remember new songs, allow yourself to just add it to the playlist, put it on shuffle, and allow yourself to go through these waves of healing, right? Like, I remember, so, like, one of my things is, my favorite movie in 7th, 8th grade, I watched, so I, like, grew up in the 5th grade on, like, Clueless, okay? And then 7th and 8th grade, I decided to really resonate with Kat Stafford, I started liking Blink-182 when everyone was liking Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. I was like, I don't want to do boy band. I want actual musicians, right? So I was like, Blink-182 is my thing. Became completely obsessed. Did not know I was autistic until like 2 years ago. But anyway, makes a lot of sense now. Kat Strafford is from 10 Things I Hate About You. That is the movie with Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles. And I took on that persona. I was like, I resonate with her character so much. And I changed my clothes. I was in the popular clique. I left the popular clique. I became more of a floater. I broadened my horizons, friend-wise, family-wise. I like went to my friends' houses, learned about the ways that they were living, right? But that movie in particular was the moment in my life, 8th grade, when I decided that I was okay with being different, that I was going to do me. And I never strayed from that. I am 100% who I am, regardless of what's I never lost that innocence because I decided to stay true to me, right? I never sold out, and I never will sell out. So think about that. That's just my example. But watching that movie now, I look at it and I remember all of these points, right? I remember how I felt in 8th grade. I remember the stance I took. I remember a lot, and it helps me heal, right? And I think when we revisit those things that we loved at a certain point, it reminds us of our totality. And that's something that society wants us to lose. They want us to lose our innocence. They want us to lose our motivation. They want complete control of us in all ways. And so when we do this healing, when we integrate our own shadow, I learned very early on in my family, in my immediate family, that if I called myself out first, nobody had power over me. Like really young. So get to that point, and that's part of the integrating of shadow. When you call yourself out, it's not just like this is who I am, this is my characteristics. It's like, oh, I notice this pattern about me, and I don't know why I do it. I want to know why, because when I know why, then I can change the pattern. If it's not something that you're excited about, then allow yourself to take off those rose-colored glasses. I already put the cards away. And allow yourself to see yourself fully and love yourself through all of that, because we all have these things. Every single last one of us have these things. This is a lifestyle change. Healing your inner child will change your life for the better. But that doesn't mean it's easy. And it is something that you're gonna want to be consistent about. So again, remember to continue to center, I want to be this person that I needed. What do I need to be there? And then go back to that little person within you at every stage. Hold your hand, give yourself a hug by listening to the music, eating the snacks, watching the movies, doing the mindless activity. Maybe it's puzzles, maybe it's video games, maybe it's Mario, whatever it is. Maybe it's riding your bike or rollerblading. Allow yourself to act. Action is the antidote for getting energy unstuck, including negativity. Right? That dark cloud. Okay, I hope this helps. I really want to read one more of these. Stop being so stubborn. Thanks for listening to me, Yap. I haven't been here a lot, so when I am coming here, my readings are a lot longer lately. Okay, we got 2. Miracles happen when you believe. See possibilities everywhere. Again, within yourself as well, right? Do more than exist. Remember to play. Believe in yourself. Go out and make things happen. Enjoy today. Remember the now. It's the little things that make life big, and attitude is everything. Have a good one.